7 o'clock, we will call the regular village board meeting to order. Everyone rise to say the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk would please call the roll.
Marevka? Here. Jones?
Here.
March?
Here.
Parker?
Here.
Ham? Bowden?
Here.
Approval or corrections to the minutes for the June 10th, 2019 regular village board meeting and the June 10th, 2019 public hearing for the budget appropriations ordinance. Are there any additions or corrections? Not a motion to approve as submitted.
Motion.
Both in, it's all right to do both in one, Jim? Yes. Motion by trustee Marevka, seconded by trustee March.
Marevka? Yes. March?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Accounts payable and payroll pay period ending 6/15/19 in the amount of $52,813. Accounts payable general fund, $200,596.16. General fund, $450. Motor fuel tax fund, $24,177.57, giving a total of all funds $225,223.73. Are there any questions on any of the bills? If not, a motion to pay the bills and the payroll.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Parker, seconded by trustee Jones.
Parker?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
March?
Yes.
Marevka? Yes. Bowden?
Yes.
Public comment and/or questions. We'll move on to reports of committees. Village administrator report.
Nothing to report.
Police chief's report, no police chief's report tonight. Engineers report.
Just a quick one, on Ratchy Road, they've done some punch list items, but they still haven't gotten to that low spot by the school, but I know it's on their list. On Route 50 in Corning, you probably noticed they put up a mast arm today, so I think all their electrical underground is done, so now they're working on the mast arms, and they still have to do some of the concrete work, and then eventually milling the whole road, so they're still moving along. The sidewalk program, we have the contracts for it. The contractor is supposed to be starting up, they marked it out today, so within the next 2 weeks, because I know they called Julie, so
Okay.
they should be starting soon. We don't know when, but it's ready to go.
Good.
And on the railroad tracks, do you have any input on that? You don't have anything to do with that, right?
What's going on with the road?
They're redoing Peatone Wilmington Road. They
Oh,
said,
that's right.
is it 4 days or 5 days?
5 days.
5 days, yeah. I mean, so I think they were pretty committed, to getting it done
Yeah.
in that time. I know that the police department had an interesting day today, chasing trucks around town and
Yeah.
people not following the detours. There were definitely some tickets written for those infractions. It's a little bit of common sense. Read the sign, follow the detour.
Well, I thought the detour was supposed to go south, but the signs were going north. So where were they sending them through town?
I'm not sure on that. I thought it was south also. That was my original understanding. It was supposed to go to Mantino.
Yeah, that's what we
So
signed
they
the
were
permit
pointed-
for.
They were pointed north.
I think
Where-
they probably go down to Center Road. They were on 57 on the exit.
Okay, I wasn't out on
Yeah.
57.
Detour north,
Going,
which I assumed meant they go down to Center Road and then go north.
Which we were told they're
Joliet
not
Road.
allowed to go on, they have to be on a state route.
Oh.
That's what CN told us, and that's why we signed the permit for, I can distribute the actual route to you.
Yeah, we'll have to follow up with that tomorrow.
Mhm.
Talk with chief and find
Just
out.
going
No, I
down
wasn't
to
aware of
45.
that.
Yeah. So I don't know where they were turning them. I said they were turning them north on 50, but I don't know where from there they were sending them. Yeah, 'cause I thought they were supposed to go the other way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Anything else, Troy?
That's all.
Right, any other questions for the engineer? All right. Any other committee reports? All right, we'll move on, no old business, we'll move on to new business. Item A, Aqua Illinois, to discussion of recent news of lead in drinking water. Hello, Aqua.
Hello, everybody. Miss you guys.
Yeah, you could come and visit, you know. You wouldn't. I do want to let the board know, Craig Blanchett was going to be here tonight. He had called me earlier, and there was a meeting that he had to attend in University Park tonight, so otherwise he was planning on being here along with everybody else, so he extends his apologies
You get
for not
ET
being here.
now.
That's right. Exactly.
So, unfortunately, we've been in the news quite a bit lately since the 13th or 14th of June.
Yep.
I think this is day 12 on our command center sheet. Anyway, I just thank you for the opportunity to explain what's going on, especially in light of, the water source, right? That we're bringing this best tasting water in the state, and very proud of it. This is a little unique situation, so what I'll first do is just pass this out. This is something we handed out. If you should just take one and pass one out. It's something we gave the residents of University Park, and it basically explains, how does lead get in water, why we're in the situation we're in. And let me first and foremost be very clear. Aqua's water does not have lead in it. None of our mains, none of our pipes do. The lead comes in from the houses. It's the lead solder in the houses, lead pipes sometimes. In University Park, it's no different like any other community. You guys have lead in most of the homes here, probably not most, but in several of the homes too. But it's how you treat it and how you mask it. And every community goes through this. It's not that big of a deal. So when we analyzed switching the water source from University Park to University, they used to be on wells just like you guys are on wells today, to switch them over to the high quality river water. In fact, that's one reason that we're so close to you guys to be able to do it. Did a lot of analyzing with experts, communication with the EPA, and we did this treatment called Sequest. It's a sequestering agent. And basically what helps clean the pipes out a little bit. And through all analysis, it would not affect the coating of the pipe. So even your system now has a kind of a very invisible coating on your pipes, and it's done intentionally. It's like a polyphosphate is what they call it. And it really protects the lead from getting into somebody's drinking water. And you're nodding your head exactly what it is. So,
That makes sense.
this chemical treatment this is the best that we can figure it out. The chemical treatment that we added to help clean it up, analyzed and said it won't have an impact on it. In fact, one of them said it will help it. Well, that didn't happen. It surprised everybody. Once we determined what it was, we immediately took action, said, hey, don't drink the water in the whole village, let's figure this out. We were able to eliminate probably 2/3 of the community based on a lot of it, the age of the house. We went forth with the county, got all the ages. Some people have replaced all of their, Governor State, for example, Governor State University was built prior to 1986 when I think lead solder was banned. They're 50 years old, but they've redone their pipes in the meantime, so that it will put that one off the list that it won't be impacted. So we immediately stopped feeding it with the Sequest, the sequester, and putting a orthophosphate, which is a proven chemical to put that coating back on. We're doing that right now. Fortunately, it might have taken a long time for that coating to be eroded. It might take a long time for that coating to get back on. We're monitoring, testing it every day. We see some good signs and improvements on it. We only added that chemical at the University Park pump station. So anything south of there, Mancino, Kankakee, Bradley, Bourbonnais, all the communities we serve on our water, it's not impacted at all. I promise you, this chemical will never, ever be used, ever again. So it surprised everybody. We took action immediately. It's a shame it happened. We're owning up to it that this is something that we need to fix, and we are fixing. What we've done for the residents of University Park, every other day they're receiving a case of water, delivered right to their door. They've gotten pitchers that have lead filters on them, like pitchers of water with lead cartridges over them. Right now we're probably going to order several of the faucet filters that tie right into the faucets. Every day we monitor and see a little bit more improvements. So we're hoping it'll be quick and we don't have to continue this, but we will continue to do it until the water is at the acceptable levels of EPA standards and the lead. Obviously, we're meeting the EPA constantly to surprise them as much as us. So I guess what does that mean for Peatone, right? we're not gonna change the chemical feed that you guys are doing now. We're gonna stick with your polyphosphate that you have. It's worked, there's no reason to change it. We will never use this sequestering agent again, and I say that. That's all I have in my, that's all I have, my dad says, all I have is my word, right? That's as good as gold, and that's true, we'll never do it. Craig will tell you the same thing. Kevin, Keith will probably tell you the same thing. So, it was just an unfortunate incident. We took action on it right away. Thankfully, we have the means and the ability to go in and provide water, and we had armies on the ground, we had people coming from all the states. We had hundreds of people out there making sure everybody gets notified. We have the notification process for it goes right to your phone. Hey, don't drink the water. We put the notices on everybody's doors, sent letters. It's been nonstop. And obviously, you think everybody's seen it on the news, but a lot of people don't watch the news. So I'm trying to keep the media abreast of what's going on as well. As of this morning, they were on it saying, hey, we're still working on it. So it's not been fun, but we're stepped up and we're making sure we get it fixed right away. So it just won't happen. It will never happen again, and it will not happen here. We'll make sure that. So moving forward, when we get the water source switched over here, is obviously the grand plan. So we're going to work with the EPA definitely much more closely. They're going to work with us much more closely and develop, make sure that nothing like that ever happens again. What we'd like to offer is, instead of doing like every 6 months when you switch over your sources, you start testing every 6 months. We'd like to do it monthly. We'll work out something with you guys. Kevin's our compliance manager, lives in town, has 100-year-old house.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have light inside, but I probably have light outside.
Sure, right.
So what we want to do is make sure that the residents of Peatone are comfortable with the fact that that won't happen there. Definitely have public meetings, get notifications out to people, work with Amy and the mayor and the board, and it's something, if you guys have an idea, please run it by you. You have your ears to the, you have residents talking to you, I'm sure they're asking you questions, what's going on. Whatever we can do to give them comfort level that this will not happen, it will happen. It definitely will happen. So.
We appreciate that, and I mean, like I said, I appreciate the communication that you guys have had with us. Jim called me right away when this all started, just to give me a heads up, and him and Craig both have been in communication, with Amy and I, and just kind of keeping us up to date on what's going on. I mean, I just want to say one of the things that I thought about a lot during the whole debate on whether or not to sell the water and sewer system to Aqua was all of the potential liability that's out there, owning a water system and owning a sewer plant. And I mean, that potential liability is huge. And to me, that was one of the prime reasons it made sense to sell the system, because of all of that future potential liability, the huge dollar amounts, that exist. So.
I never thought about that, because you're right.
But that was one of my big thought processes.
This is costing us a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's okay, and we have the means to do it. The shareholders will pay for it. It just needs to happen.
So where are we at with getting water here? Changing subjects.
Yeah, no, actually, that's so common. I agree. It's Keith Paul here, who's our regional engineer. He'll give you a little update on that, but we're excited, ready to go. And what's another exciting is here in the development that you guys obviously are looking at. I know we've been looking at that, and the routing, we got some stuff, working at Robinson, and that's moving along very well too as well, so we're excited about that. You grow, we grow, it's all good. So,
Thank you.
Board Trustees, Keith Mahone with Aqua. I apologize, I had 10 copies, one of them was mine, so I'm down to 9, and I counted 10 people up here, right? So
We can share.
if a couple of you wouldn't mind sharing, I just have 2 sheets on this project to go over with you. So the interconnect is being bid out as 2 separate projects. We're calling the first phase the urban section, and the second phase will be the rural section. The urban section starts at the intersection of Corning and Wesley. Goes up Wesley over to Hickory, over to Howard Street, and it will terminate at the east end there where the end of the street is and where the farm field begins. We had our bid opening today for that, and Tenco Excavating was the successful contractor on that, so we've notified them. We've already been ordering materials. Those should be showing up any time now if some of them haven't already shown up in town here. July 8th will be our start for that. We have in our contract a completion, we have 2 completion dates for Tenco. One is a substantial completion, one is a final completion. Our substantial completion is September 27th. That's when the water mains have to be pressure tested and chlorinated, basically suitable for potable use. The final completion is October 25th. That includes pavement restoration, lawn restoration, punch list items, so that is when the project is completely finished.
What
This-
date was that again?
The first date is
Of the-
September 27th,
Okay,
and the second one was October 25th.
okay, thanks.
I do hope that they'll beat both of those. We've given them plenty of time. That's over 2 months to do the project, which equates to about 70 feet a day, which doesn't seem like much, but there's a lot of turns in town, there's storm sewer crossings, they have to put casings in, some other work, so, but I still think they'll be able to beat that schedule. So we want to make sure that everything is cleaned up, not only for the fall, but, you know, one of the things we have in town is the, you know, trick or treating for Halloween. We want to make sure everything's cleaned up by then. The nights start getting dark sooner, and we just don't want holes and hazards in town. The second phase is the rules section. That's out for bids. We'll have a bid opening on that very soon. I don't have the date with me, Amy, I apologize, but that completion date will match the urban section, so it'll be the end of October when we'll be completed with that. That will take us from Howard Street. That's on the second page of the 2 that you have here. There's not as much to see. And I apologize, the streets are probably not very visible, but I was trying to get something that was, you guys could look at your desks and not have a huge sheet to lay out. But that basically just goes up the east edge of the village and then down, all the way down to Egyptian Trail, where our existing 24-inch line is on the east side.
And you guys have enough manpower with all you, what else you got going on right now to pull this off?
Yeah, we have consultants, so we have Robson Engineering is doing design engineering, they'll do the observation for us on this. The second phase, the rural part, we're gonna have Dura-Root also, they're an agricultural inspecting engineer. They'll be out there to make sure that we don't overcompact the soil. They'll do chemical testing to make sure the farm fields are restored. They'll go out and make sure that when we're done, if we have to deep rip to restore the temporary easement to a farmable condition. So we have consultants handle all of that. We actually have a couple of consultants working in our office right now, and they'll help oversee the project as well. So it's
Mostly an outsourced job.
it is, a lot of our engineering we do outsource. We don't have a staff that does it in-house because there's years when we have big projects like this, and then there's years when we don't. And then the years you don't have big projects, you still have those bodies, so it's easier for us just to have consultants for a lot of this.
Got it.
So you think we'll have aqua water running before the end of the year?
That is our intention, yes. There is one other project that we have to do, and we already have our EPA permit for at Diversitech campus. Hate to get into the whole chemical addition thing, but we have to add it somewhere. We're going to be adding it at Diversitech campus, which is on the east side of Manteno, and that will feed Peatone University Park and Grant Park. All 3 communities have been on wells in the past, and the same phosphate that's used here, the same one that's in University Park is what we'll be adding. That way we're feeding it at one point, and it will control all 3 villages. So that's out for permits right now, and that will be under construction as soon as we can get the finals on the building. We're actually custom building the structure to house all the chemicals and feed equipment. So, but yes, our intention is you guys will have water sometime, hopefully early November of this year.
So Jim, could I just go back?
Please.
So here's what I heard you say. You guys added a chemical in University Park that we don't use. Going forward, you're gonna keep using the same stuff we've always used.
Until the switch.
Okay.
Because the chemical you use right now is very similar to Sequest. If we put that in our water, it would be an issue.
Okay.
They're based on the water chemistry coming in. You've got to have, for what you're using right now, it's called Water Solutions Unlimited, WSU 319. And it is mainly for iron and manganese sequestration. That's what Sequest is for. So having real hard water iron for this to tie up to is mainly a polyphosphate. The polyphosphate is the one that scrubs the veins or ties to all this iron, because you got a lot of iron in our wells, a lot of manganese. So you have that there. When the water quality changes, again, now we're using Kankakee water.
Right.
We actually reduced it. There's a formula for the hardness and everything. We dropped it down to where we're supposed to and everything else. It should be fine. it wasn't. It didn't work. And so we're going to this 90-10 blend of orthophosphate versus polyphosphate is the coater. It's corrosion inhibitor. So we're not using much of a sequestering agent. Now, remember, our water doesn't have the iron in it. The problem, what might occur though, is what happened in Mantino for a while, where we didn't use anything. You get some discolored water coming out of the hot water tanks and different things like that. We prevented that in University Park upon the switch, but had a few other issues. So again, it was all looked at by experts, and didn't think it'd be an issue. So when we switch over first, we may have some discolored water, more than we did with University Park. We had none. Their water quality complaints went away immediately. We're not going that way. We're going the safe route, where there may be just a little bit of discoloration for a while.
I mean, that'll go away after.
That will go away. But it's that during that conversion turnover that we fed it to not have that issue. That's really why we use it, going all the way back to when we took over Mantino and switched to water.
We did a very aggressive flushing program in Mantino. We're flushing constantly.
To get that, that's what we're gonna do here. For where University Park, we didn't have to do that. They're both on chloramines. We actually flipped the switch because we had switched them to Sequest with 6 months or 5 months before our water got there. So it was already accustomed, their wells, to the same reagent we're gonna use, just at a much lower level. So we expected no issues at all. We're flipped the switch, ready to go, and it worked for a while. And then it started just acting too much, just not enough iron in the system to attack. So it actually attacked that coating on the customer service lines. And that's where we released the lead. Again, no lead services in University Park. It's only the lead side. So no experts at all. It won't be enough for it. It's not a problem.
When you talk about discoloration for a while,
They had,
what kind of a time frame is that?
well, in Mantino, without feeding anything, we had, the cold water never had an issue, but the hot water had like a couple weeks for a while that it just was like taking off the iron out of the hot water tanks. And it was on and off. Some places had none. Older 20, 30-year-old hot water tanks did have an issue for a while. And some people actually did replace theirs. Because, well, again, they're 20, 30 years old. They don't last that long in Peatone because they get eaten up.
Nobody's got a 30-year-old tank here.
Every 5 years, so I don't know. But again, so I don't expect it, but it's gonna be in the information. And we set it out even to University Park, because of the Mantino, hey, expect this during the turnover, as it is different water, it's a higher pH. It's got different properties, it's gonna act a little different. So, but we're feeding something to coat the mains even more than they are versus trying to keep that in suspension with the sequestration. Keep it crystal clear.
Another question about water heaters. You said 5 years, 18 months is not uncommon on having to replace water heaters, good water heaters, 24 months. When we go on aqua water, will that change?
Most people in Kankakee have 20-year-old water heaters. It's not, it's just, there's nothing that builds up, there's no hardness that builds up. So remember, you're going,
on 15 years and it's still original.
so if you're thinking hardness 500, 700, whichever one you're looking at, down to 140. And with that glandular saturation index, it doesn't build up, it just creates that eggshell. So it's protective, yet it doesn't build up. It really makes a difference on these duct plants.
All water heaters come with an anode rod?
You can actually leave it in.
You can't, that was my next question. No, some
Yeah,
people within 2 days.
They don't break down like, you put one in Peatone, especially before they started adding some of the sequestering, that sulfur just eats them
Smells
up.
like rotten eggs.
Yeah, and you turn the black water right away as the anode rod just sits.
So now you can leave them in and it won't be a problem.
Once we switch over.
Once you switch
Yeah,
over.
not now.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We're using exactly, we talked about changing it, and then with just a little like, let's hold on. Jim Bernard said, hey, this works really well, let's keep with it. And we said, okay, we're not. We didn't need to, so we just held off until we didn't need to. So we're really flush hard when we switch, because we're gonna have to lower the towers down and just change it over immediately all the way. You are on chlorination, it is, not chlorine. That's another issue that our experts looked at. Because if you look at EPA database, you're on chlorinated. You don't add ammonia to your water, natural ammonia to wells. So you want natural chlorination, not chlorination. So if you change your water in your fish tank, all your fish dies. The EPA thought you were chlorination. So I went to every well even when we started looking at the water quality, so just to make sure it was chlorine or chlorine. So it was chlorine. That eliminates a lot of the issues with the changeover.
Any questions?
All right. No, thank you very much. And
Coming in.
and I know that you guys are planning on having some informational meetings as we go forward for the residents, I mean, as we get closer to the switch over and different things like that.
And we'll coordinate definitely with Amy and you guys.
Yep.
To start dates, we should start getting some dates on the
Yeah.
calendar for that. And
It's coming fast.
It's coming fast.
It's coming really fast. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, item B, award the 2019 street patching resurfacing project. Got any?
I could
Right to it.
Yeah, sure. Bids were received on June 20th for the patching and resurfacing project. So this is the one where we'll be fixing up the Corning east of Route 50 and Ridgeland between the two bridges where it's been kind of washed out with the rain. So that's part of the job, and also various patching in town and what little other area. So the bids came in pretty much what expected, a little bit higher. We had more built into the quantities in case we got low bids. Unfortunately, we did not get low bids, so we will have to cut some patches out of the project to meet the budget, which we typically do. We try to put a little more and hope for low bids instead of cutting. So that's going to be the case. The plan is to probably do the Ridgeland Corning first, because that's what's, the biggest need right now, and then see how that shakes out with what's used, and then we can kind of determine, or probably determine, what he wants to cut.
And Gallagher's done work, obviously.
They've done a lot of work here.
Any questions, discussion? If not, a motion to accept the low bid furnished by Gallagher Asphalt for the amount of $175,837.30.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee Bowden.
Jones,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
March,
Yes.
Marevka.
Yes.
Item C, recommendation from the Administrative Oversight Committee regarding the investment of a portion of the proceeds from the sale of the water and sewer system.
So the AOC's met quite a few times over the last couple of months to discuss how we want to invest some of the proceeds from Aqua's sale. Currently, if you have in front of you here the sheet that kind of outlines what we want to do. We have an account at First Community Bank that's earning about 2%, and we've got a total of $12.1 million in that account. So we had some presentations from a firm called PFM and also from First Midwest Bank here in town.
And First Midwest is here.
Yeah,
Dr.
I
March,
see
just
Laura Kasich here. So we were impressed with both presentations. PFM does mostly municipal, or I think they do all municipal investing, and quite a large firm. So what we'd like to do, what we've kind of hashed out is we want to leave some money in the First Community Bank account. That'll be kind of our liquid fund. So we're going to leave about $3 million in there. We'll use that money to purchase the land for the truck stop property and any other costs that we might need for that. The remaining $9 million we wanted to split between PFM and First Midwest in a ratio of 75 to 25. So that would leave about $2.25 million to First Midwest and $6.75 million to PFM. we like the idea, I mean, we were actually gonna go all with PFM, but we like the idea of, you know, going with the community bank here that we already have a relationship with, for some of the money, and, we've talked with our treasurer, Marcy, about this, and, she's on board with it, and, so if you guys have any questions that I could answer, or Amy, or.
Is the 2.28% what we're looking to get?
So, that was, as of, June 20th, I mean, that's what the First Midwest money market is, yielding. The PFM was similar, I mean, it was at, when they did the presentation, it was about, 2.4, something like that, wasn't it?
Mhm.
So it may have gone down since then, because interest rates have gone down a little bit. So, I know it doesn't seem a whole lot different than what we're getting at First Community Bank, but, you know, when you're talking about $9 million, you know, a quarter, 0.5% makes a lot of difference, so. And it also gives us, going forward, it gives us, I think, you know, the ability to use some of the professional advice that we can get from First Midwest or PFM, if the interest rates do go up, to, you know, possibly tie up our money a little longer and, you know, get a better interest rate going forward, so.
But we are really limited on what we can invest.
Yeah, oh
in.
no, absolutely, as a municipality,
Yeah.
there's.
We
a
can't
lot-
buy junk
a lot of
bonds
limit-
or
Right, there's a lot of
S&P 500
limitations.
stock, so.
Yeah, so, but, yeah, so I mean, we're never gonna get, you know, 8% return on our money, but, you know, like I said, when you're talking about $9 million, every 0.25% makes a big difference, so, that's what we would recommend, and PFM, we're also gonna ask them to help us review our investment policy and get that updated. It hasn't been updated in anybody's memory, so that needs to be done.
Is 12,124,511, is that the total amount of revenue we received from Aqua? Is that the whole chunk?
It is, including interest.
Got interest.
Plus
on
the
it.
interest?
Plus the interest.
So that's
yeah.
the whole
That's
ball
the
of
whole
wax.
ball of wax that's in the bank right now.
We've never
Less-
tapped into any of that.
Well, less what we
What we
paid off
for
the,
public
the
works
building.
we paid the
So it's about
mortgage.
$300,000.
Right, okay.
Right.
Any other questions?
Nope, but I want to thank the committee and Amy for all of their time and effort gathering this information. I think it's to me, it looks like a pretty solid recommendation.
It's insured, right?
Oh, yeah, it's all.
It's not, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So, it is not FDIC insured, like it is sitting in the bank right now. So, that is a good question that you need to know.
Is it, but it is insured?
Go ahead, if you could step up and give your name and,
Sure.
please.
Sure, thank you. My name is Susan Wade. I'm with First Midwest Bank. I manage public fund banking relationships for First Midwest. I've been working with Marcy for, I think, as long as she's been here. I met Amy a few weeks back at Will County Governmental League.
Lori Kajik. I'm from the First Midwest Wealth Management. I'm the one who did the proposal to Kent, Patrick, Amy, and Peter. So I think what we wanted to do is, and I'll let Susan take the lead on this, is kind of explain ILCS 235, the difference between banking deposits and investment management accounts, and then how that answers the question about FDIC insurance, so.
Sure, and to your point, you are restricted to what you can invest in. ILCS is Illinois compiled statutes 235, which has two different sections. One is your banking side and what saves, what insures those deposits over and above the FDIC insurance. On the other side of that law, it talks about what you're allowed to invest in. So on the banking side, my side, your funds at First Midwest Bank for the first $250,000 are covered by FDIC insurance. Anything above and beyond is covered from investments of First Midwest Bank. So they're U.S. Treasuries and U.S. agencies that we pledge into an account at Bank of New York on behalf of the Village of Peatone. So there's a separate account in which Marcy gets a statement every month that says Bank of New York for the benefit of Peatone, and it lists all of the US treasuries and US agencies that the bank has pledged. So as you get your tax money in, we send a feed to Bank of New York that says, okay, Will County's paying their taxes, the village has got another $1 million in tax receipts, we need to up the collateral. So it's gonna always mirror what the balances are in your checking accounts. And that, I believe, is either at 103 or 105%, which is what you're in compliance with the Illinois Public Fund Act. So when you receive your audit, there will be a section in the notes that sits there and says you had X number of dollars in your bank accounts, and it is a perfected lien that having your accounts at Bank of New York, if your accounts with First Midwest Bank. So the first level is perfected, the second level is you're collateralized, but you're not perfected. And the third level is you are not collateralized, in which those tax dollars could be at risk. So all of your accounts with First Midwest qualify the way that we have it set up with Bank of New York for your level A, the highest level of collateral. If you have a bank that doesn't, if you're working with a bank that doesn't have that third-party agreement where you have specific investments that are pledged to your account, that is not the highest tier of collateral, that is the next lower tier, which means those funds are commingled. Your funds get a feed, and there are US treasuries that are all pooled together, and all the different municipalities have access to that in the event of a bank default. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yeah. So, and then what happens is, so also in ILCS 235, which is again kind of the guideline for municipalities. So what happens is if you open an investment management account, that does not go on the bank's balance sheet. So all deposits, so your deposits, Village of Peatone's deposits, they go on the bank's balance sheet, and then above the $250,000, we have to collateralize them because they're on the bank's balance sheet. When you open an account with the wealth management side of First Midwest, that's considered a trust account. That does not go on the bank's balance sheet, and it's not, creditors can't come after that money. That account is in the name of the Village of Peatone, and that money belongs to the Village of Peatone. So on the investment management side, it's going to be similar with PFM. You're not required to collateralize, and we don't have to FDIC insure it, because every dollar belongs to you. It is what it is. It's in the name of Village of Peatone. It's called a trust, and it's highly regulated and audited as well. But then that belongs to you. However, inside of that account, ILCS 235 also guides us in what we can and cannot invest in. So the money market that we're planning to put you in is approved by ILCS 235. Moving forward, if you decided you want to invest in U.S. treasuries or agencies or something, again, of longer term, depending on, cash flow and obligation needs. Those are assets that are within the guideline of ILCS 235, so they're approved investments. So that's why on the wealth management side, FDIC insurance is not needed because those deposits belong to you. That account completely belongs to the Village of Peatone.
If there was ever another meltdown like 06 or 08, whenever it was, and banks were failing, are we protected against that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because again, you're not subject to creditors or any other depositors coming after that money. It's called a trust. And if something were to happen at First Midwest, that money would immediately be sent to whoever for the benefit of party, which would be Village of Peatone. And plus any interest that had been accrued up until that point. So, good question though. There's a difference.
I hate to lose
It's a
my
learning.
mind.
No, it's a learning curve. I like 60%, over 60% of my book is municipalities, and those are great questions. It is a learning curve for sure.
So, I mean, one of the reasons why we decided to put some money with First Midwest is possibly the ability to move some of the, if we're earning more money in the wealth management side, possibly moving some of the money that we have now in the bank that we're really not using over to that. And that, we can still do that if you talk to your
Absolutely, absolutely.
Unless you have a different investment policy specifically for these aqua funds,
Right.
but I'm
No.
assuming you're just gonna, everything is gonna fall under the one investment policy,
Correct.
correct?
Yeah. And it may or may not, you may or may not require to have a second wealth management account. So maybe the first account is, Village of Peatone, I don't know what you wanna call it, Aqua, whatever.
Aqua.
But then maybe you have a second that says, Village of Peatone, tax revenue, operating something, whatever.
Okay.
We have quite a few villages or townships or cities that have 3 or 4 different accounts for us on the wealth management side. So again, they can freely move things between banking and wealth management, but also that it's tagged appropriately, as it would be on the banking side. Easier for your record keeping.
Are there any penalties for taking that money out?
Absolutely not, no.
Are all the monies that you manage earning about 2.4%?
The answer is it depends, and I'm not wishy-washy, but, so if the money's sitting in, an approved money market account, it's 2.28 is the current rate, but again, the Fed, last week we were already talking about rate cuts, so it's starting to get baked into interest rates. But if I have quite a few municipalities that have, U.S. Treasuries, and those portfolios usually can go out to a maturity of 2 years. So the yields are gonna be higher, because remember in 2018, there was 5 Fed rate interest increases. So if we locked in back then, the yield of 2.75, 2.62, 2. Whatever it was at that time, they're gonna keep earning that, because it's a stated yield, it's a stated coupon. So, the approximate of any municipality, if I were to pull my, 60% of my book, or even sort of the 12.4 billion that we manage, about 7 billion belongs to what I'll call public funds. Right now, the rate is anywhere between, 2 and 3.5%. Depends on when we bought it, how long the instrument goes out to.
I guess my last question for you is, we talked about if we do go out and buy CDs or whatever, basis points. Did you talk to her about basis points?
Yes.
And you're willing to do 15 basis points?
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So the next steps are on here. We're going to review the investment policy and update that. We will sit down with PFM and First Midwest to kind of go over some of these very specifics. And then I will probably need to bring back to you an intergovernmental agreement for PFM for their mutual fund account is a group of other municipalities. So if we were to join that, they require an intergovernmental agreement. So I'll bring that back to you next time.
Do you
And
need a
then-
motion for?
No, I think we just give direction to staff to move forward.
Okay.
Or do we?
Yeah, there'll be some documentation that will have to be approved.
Right.
Absolutely, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, so we have, when we open an account in the wealth management group, what we call the trust department, obviously there's gonna be account opening documents, and that's gonna have.
Right, and you'll have a
authorized
resolution
approvers, and
for
we're
the
gonna
board.
need, right, resolution, we're gonna need who can tell us what to do with that, and
So we have a consensus of the board that this is the direction we want to move forward with, is the committee's recommendation, and then we'll get the necessary paperwork together and bring it back to the board for final action.
How often do you pay out the interest?
so the money market fund that we've been talking about pays monthly, if we were to purchase US Treasuries every 6 months, for example.
The money market account, is that a privately held account or who?
So we utilize for our public funds, we use the Northern Trust Institutional U.S. Government Select Portfolio, and that's because the underlying assets is U.S. Treasuries, so it's within the guidelines of ILCS 235.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
ladies.
you. All right, item D, number 1, ordinances. Number 1, an ordinance granting a fence variance for certain property located at 413 Locust Lane, Amascane, granting a 10-foot encroachment into the 30-foot setback from the back wall of the house to the rear of the property. This is coming back from last meeting, we had a lengthy discussion in regards to this, and this is the ordinance approving that. This would be ordinance number 19-14. Any discussion? Not a motion to approve ordinance number 19-14.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Marevka, seconded by trustee Jones.
Marevka?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
March?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
And Bowden?
Yes.
Number 2, an ordinance annexing the property at the northeast corner of I-57 and Peatone-Wilmington Road, First Midwest Bank petitioner.
So there it, well, it was up on the screen. It died.
Yeah.
This is the pond property on the east side of 57.
You can imagine.
And it is a voluntary annexation. Worked really hard on that, getting that up for you guys. It's coming.
Just thinking.
It's coming. I just thought a visual would be helpful.
Visuals are always good.
Yeah, I mean, you have, the plat of annexation in your packet, but, this is, we requested from the property owner that this be annexed as part of the, to be part of the TIF and to bring it into the village for potential development at some point. And they agreed. There it is. Big water on there, and so they
It doesn't include the Bate property.
it won't go up, it won't go up any further. But it's right along Wilmington Peatone Road. Possibly some access issues, but there's no development at all right now being contemplated, so it's just a voluntary annexation at this point.
So it comes in at R1.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, there's no
No
provisions or anything.
No provisions, no annexation agreement accompanying it, it's just
Just a voluntary
voluntary
annexation.
annexation.
Do we own the railroad, old property there? We own it.
Need a motion?
This would be the ordinance number 19-15, an ordinance annexing property, Kenichi Properties, northeast corner, I-57 and Wilmington Peatone Road.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Bowden, seconded by trustee Jones.
One quick, are we
Yes.
taxing that? Does it say anything about
There is
village
no,
property tax until it gets developed? We don't.
No,
tax.
they'll continue to,
Yeah.
they'll pay the village property tax.
there was no, because there's no annexation agreement.
There's no
It's
agreement.
just-
Okay.
Yep.
Bowden?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Marevka?
Yes.
March?
Yes.
And Parker?
Yes.
Number 3, an ordinance authorizing the establishment of a tax increment financing interested parties registry and adoption of registration rules for such registry for the proposed Peatone TIF District Number 2. Steve?
I'm old school visual. Pass this around.
Nope.
Take a map,
Hey, I
pass
just
it
wrote the
around
first
as
one.
well.
That's pretty good. That was an easy one.
I just wanted to give you an update as to the anticipated schedule timeline as it relates to these ordinances that are on your agenda tonight. And what we have done is on the yellow, this sheet, we've consolidated the timelines for both the TIF District 2 and the Business Development District so they can run concurrently. Meaning that when we have a public hearing, it'll be both the public hearings the same night, so we're timing it so we can get them all done at the same, basically at the same evening, same schedule. With the TIF district, as you know, you went through this recently, there are several more steps regarding the establishment of a TIF district as opposed to a business development district. So where we're at right now is tonight we need you to
establish the interested parties registries for the proposed TIF District 2. You did this for your downtown TIF. We need a separate registry for the TIF District 2. Do you all recall what that was for? You want me to speak?
Go ahead and speak at it, yeah.
So in essence, the interested parties registry is for both, there's a list for individuals and there's a sign up for any organizations that may have an interest in a property within the proposed TIF area, but do not necessarily live here or are not necessarily the taxpayer of record, but they want to be notified of the public hearing or any public meetings that would be taking place regarding the creation of the TIF district. So I wouldn't anticipate that you'll have many sign up, but it's a statutory requirement that you have an interested parties registry. And then once you approve the ordinance, we'll prepare a publication. It's a short notice that goes in the newspaper as to the availability of the interested parties registry. And then an individual or organization that might have an interest in one of these 5 properties that will be in your TIF District 2 initially could come and sign up for it. But all of the taxpayers and any residential addresses within 750 feet, which will only be a couple perhaps, will get notices of the public hearing anyway. So it's just it's a formality in this case more than anything for this TIF district. And then subsequent to tonight, what we'll do is, and then we're setting also the public hearing date, which we need to set now so that we can provide notices for the public hearing. We cannot have the public hearing any sooner than 45 days after providing notice of the hearing to the other taxing bodies and the taxpayers within the proposed TIF area. So that's why we're asking you to set the date tonight for the August 12th public hearing to occur. And for the TIF district, it would be at 5:30. And then we would also then be holding the public hearing for the business district at 6, that same evening. Then.
What was the date on that again, I'm sorry?
August 12th.
It's on here. It's August 12th is the public hearings for both TIF and BDD. July 16th, we're anticipating that we will be looking to give notice then for the joint review board meeting to discuss the creation of the second TIF district. This is where we invite the representatives of the other taxing bodies to come and review the plan with us and qualifications of the area. And they provide then an advisory vote to you, to this board, as to their concurrence with regard to the qualifications of the area and the plan, having met the statutory requirements. I had suggested to Amy also that if you want to provide notice for an annual joint review board meeting for your downtown TIF, we could do that the same morning, perhaps schedule it for 10 a.m. And then we would have the joint review board meeting for the new TIF at 11. So again, we try to combine these trips and these meetings as best as we can. Okay, then during July, the latter part of July there, we'll be submitting publications with regards to both the TIF and BDD public hearing notices. Obviously, the TIF notice that goes in the paper requires a map, legal description, a summary of the plan. It's a little bit more of a substantial notice that will be published. And then on or before August 2nd, we'll be able to submit to you a draft of the business district redevelopment plan, which is different, but will look similar to the TIF plan that we filed with the village here on the 14th of June. So, but it will be in a kind of a similar format as this. It just the content is different, obviously. But that'll be ready to go and give to you here by the first part of August. And then on August 26th, you'll be in position there to approve the final ordinances. There are 3 that you'll have to approve to establish the TIF district. One is to approve the plan, okay, the written document is to the plan for the area. You'll designate the area itself, the map, you'll adopt the map. And then the 3rd ordinance is to adopt, statutorily adopt tax increment financing for the plan and the map. Those 3 ordinances would be on your agenda for August 26th. And we'll also have the agenda then to designate the business development district area and impose the applicable BDD taxes that you want to impose, the ones I spoke to earlier. Then, on or before October 1st, we have to file with the Department of Revenue a copy of the plan and the ordinance that established your business development district. And they will, Department of Revenue then will review all that material, notify us of any concerns that they have, and then the tax will, that you've imposed by then will take effect January 1. So there are 2 points in the year then when you can update the list of businesses that are within your business district area to make sure that the Department of Revenue will notify them of the additional BDD tax. That is on or before April 1st, in which case then the tax becomes effective July 1, or it is on or before October 1st and the tax becomes effective January 1 of the following year. So we're going to have this done by the first part of September, a month early, so we can get it to Department of Revenue and make sure that it gets done before the end of the year. So you have the ordinance to establish the interested parties registry. The next one will be to establish a date for the public hearing, and I'll stop there and let you deal with that.
Okay. Is there any questions or discussion? So this is ordinance number 19-16, an ordinance authorizing the establishment of the tax increment financing interested parties registry and adoption of registration rules for such registries for the proposed Peatone tax increment financing district number 2.
So moved.
Second? Motion by trustee March, seconded by trustee Marevka.
March.
Yes.
Marevka? Yes. Jones?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
I move we have a public hearing for TIF District number 2 on August 12th.
Well, this is, that would be number 4, an ordinance. This would be ordinance number 19-17, an ordinance to establish a date for a public hearing for the proposed Peatone tax increment financing district number 2.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee March, seconded by trustee Jones.
March.
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Marevka? Yes. Bowden?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Number 5, an ordinance to propose the approval of a business development district redevelopment plan and establish a date. This is the one that I got to leave on. This is for TIF district number 1.
This is related to TIF district number 1.
Business development district, we're setting a date for
That's-
a public hearing for the business district.
That's
Oh, for the business to, okay.
That's what I thought. It's not got anything to do with TIF
Doesn't have
1.
anything to do with the TIF district.
Okay, just making sure.
So this is also for the August 12th.
Gotcha.
Could I just ask a question?
Yes, please.
Clarification? If I own a property in business development district, do I have to exclude myself?
So the Business District Act doesn't contain the same language that the TIF Act does. So
Okay.
I kind of defer to Jim as to,
I don't think so, it's particularly not at this point.
Because I believe trustee March does, I believe I do.
Almost everybody.
I believe trustee Jones does.
Which is,
Yeah.
TIF is another matter,
Right.
right? But the business district, I think if if an item came up